This workshop is called Honor Your Inner Child. And I kid you not, we have a great treat in store. So I feel like this is already a candy shop. Now I only met the facilitator. Can you hear me? Because I'm not sure. Now I only met the facilitator of this workshop yesterday for the first time. And like all good Toastmasters, she tells a great story. And as I listen to her unfold a bright and colourful narrative in an excited and captivating manner, I sense that same free spirit and endless energy and addictive passion for life that we normally credit to children and young people. And it's no wonder, because this woman is originally from the mountains. She met her husband in Australia, and together the two of them have actually been in Greece this last few weeks, building, guess what? Their very own 63-foot boat. And they hope to move into it within the next couple of years. So with a love for the great outdoors, Kimberley, who is going to be our workshop leader today, travels extensively. She's a motivational educator who feels, thinks, and honors all that life has to offer. So for over 2 years, she's been helping people live a fulfilling life. She has a Bachelor of Science in Education from the USA and a Master's in Outdoor Education from Australia. And her approach to education and learning is both creative and logical. And we'll do things today that we can take away with her. So, without further ado, get your kid gloves out, sit back, relax, listen, and play as we applaud Kimberley.
Kalimera. That's my one of 4 new Greek vocabulary words. Kalimera. Good morning, everybody.
What are the other 3?
What's that?
What are
The other 3? Kalispera, good afternoon. Yasas, which is kind of like aloha, because you can use it for hello and goodbye. And of course, efaristo, which is thank you. So for all the Greeks in the audience, efaristo, thank you for having us in your beautiful country. This is my first time in Greece, and I love it. We've been here a couple of weeks so far, actually on the western islands, and they are beautiful. The entire 5-hour bus ride there was beautiful. One of the things that I love about traveling, especially in a foreign country, where you don't speak the language, and especially when you can't read most of the words, and the culture is a little bit questionable, is it fills me with a sense of childlike wonder. Everything becomes interesting again. I walk down the streets, wander through the, what's it called? Plaka? Plaka. And the houses, they're interesting. Wow, they have a balcony and flowers on them. That's very interesting. I'll take a picture. Look, a meandering street. I'll take a picture. Ancient ruins. Alright, I don't really have those at home. That is particularly interesting. Even going to the supermarkets, everything is pretty much not recognizable unless it's a fruit or vegetable. Or it has a little English subtitle. Look, they have stacked fruits beautifully. That's interesting. I'll take a picture. Would I do that at home? No. But here, it becomes fascinating. I see the foods in these little containers, and I pray that there's a picture on them, because I have absolutely no idea what's inside. And usually, I challenge myself with a bit of adventure, and I pick something random and take it home with me and try it. Occasionally, it's a great success. I find a lot of the time the flavors differ somewhat, and I often find myself asking, what is this? What is this? And how do they use it? Because I have no idea. At home, we spend our entire lives building up habits that make us very efficient. As humans, we love to be very efficient. We go about our days almost on autopilot. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Don't have to stop and look at houses because we know what houses look like. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Autopilots. Where are we going? Maybe the grocery store. Zoom, zoom, zoom. We get to the grocery store, we park, we go inside, we grab the things we need because we know exactly where they are in the grocery store. And if the grocery store has rearranged, we get irritated because we want to be efficient. So, we grab the things we need, we run home, and we prepare the foods that we like because we have spent our entire life deciding what it is we like to eat. Everything feels very comfortable, very efficient. Life feels good. But as humans, we are also complex because not only do we need comfort, we need challenge. We need adventure. We need both things. Travel breaks us out of that comfort zone. Things that we experience at home and completely ignore, we can't ignore those anymore. It's kind of like the GPS in my taxi last night trying to get to the social dinner. The taxi driver, the first taxi we got into, she spoke very little English and basically could tell us that she was a new taxi driver and couldn't figure out on her GPS what the Athens War Museum was. And of course I didn't have it written down in Greek, so we spent 10 minutes with her pushing buttons on the GPS, and finally she flagged down another taxi driver and asked us to get into that taxi. So we got into that taxi, and he says, "Where are you headed?" I said, "Athens War Museum." He says, "Okay, you have GPS?" "Yes, we have GPS." "Well, we've been walking." So of course, my husband takes out his little Google, thank you Mr. Google, and says, "Take us to the Athens War Museum." And off we go through the back streets, kind of near the Plaka, and as you know, they're very thin, narrow roads. Turns out there's also a lot of do not enter one-way roads. And when you're walking, you can go down those roads easily. And when you tell Google you're walking, Google tries to take you down those roads. But the GPS says, "Go here," and the taxi driver stops. "No, one way." And he goes this way. So we did this giant loop all around Athens, which took a lot of time and made us late to the party. But we saw a lot of wonderful things that we otherwise might not have seen. Attitude is everything. And keeping that sense of childlike wonder and adventure definitely helps boost the sense of joy and interest in new locations. The experiences that we have are things that we learn from. If you remember being a child, which most people remember at least some highlights of childhood. If you had a horrible childhood, think of something lovely and imagine that, because this is all about having fun. So, as a child, we learn through our experiences. As I grew older, I continued to learn through my experiences. And I thought that there was something wrong with me, because when I attended school, I was bored. I loved to learn new things, but books are not how I learn. Listening, that's a skill that I've gained over years, which is part of the reason why I've joined Toastmasters, to learn how to listen. But experiences teach me most of the things that I need in life. And what I've learned over the last 20 years of teaching other people through experiences is that learning through experience is actually a primal human skill. If you think about it, since the beginning of time, humans have learned through trial and error. We try something out, we see what happens, and we go, "Ooh, that part worked. That part didn't work so well. I think I'll do it again, but I'll change this one little piece and see what happens." We experiment with things. And it turns out, when we're on autopilot, we often do the same thing. We go throughout our daily lives, having experiences, maybe being at a conference, bumping into 850 other Toastmasters from more than 30 countries, which is a phenomenal concept. And we learn from it. We grow from it. Because it turns out that outside of our comfort zone, there are actually two other zones. The furthest zone away is what we call the panic zone. Yeah, we really don't like to be there. Panic, not very much fun. But between the comfort zone and the panic zone is this zone I like to call the stretch zone. Because it takes our comfort zone and it pulls it out a little bit here, and it pulls it out a little bit there, and a little bit here, and we grow. We learn things that we enjoy. We trial things that maybe we don't, like some of the foods at the supermarket. But at least we know that we tried them, and we know we don't have to try them again, and that's still a learning experience. It also helps shrink our panic zone, which makes us more comfortable in the world that we live in, and makes us happier because of it. Have you noticed recently any children? You paid attention to them? Perhaps your own children, grandchildren. Children like to laugh. They like to experiment with things. They don't need to be told, no, that's not going to work. If you stand back and let them do things, they'll play. Maybe they'll build with Legos. A Toastmaster back home, his daughter is 12. And he told me a story about how, up until recently, she would get out the directions for the Legos that she had, and she would build them exactly the way the directions said. And a week before I came here, he observed her take out the Legos and not bring instructions for the very first time. She just started playing and experimenting, and he saw her tongue stick out the side of her mouth, which is what I do when I'm thinking really hard and playing with stuff. He said what she built was the most magnificent piece of architecture that he had seen her do, because she had learned these foundational skills through the instructions, and then took it one step further through play to make things better. Play leads to innovation. As children, that is a concept that we all understand. It comes from our heart. Some point in life, usually between the ages of 9 and 12, we start to realize that there's an outside world, and we become a little self-conscious. Our drawings that once had itty-bitty heads and gigantic hands sometimes turn into just a smiley face, because we realize that our drawings don't match reality, and we become self-conscious. And if somebody doesn't tell us, it's okay for your drawing not to match reality, we often stop drawing. We say, well, I'm not a very good artist, but you can draw really well. You should do this art project. You should do that. I heard a story recently about a lady. She's 65 years old. Well, she might be 66 by now, because I heard this a few months ago. But when she was a child, she loved to ice skate. She was a figure skater, out doing her twirls, things that I can only dream of because my ice skating consists of. But she loved it. She wanted to compete. She wanted to become an Olympic skater. When she was about 13, she realized that she did not have the skills to be on the Olympic team. And she stopped skating completely. No more skating. In her late 50s, she developed severe depression. She had a very hard time working through it. And somebody asked her, what do you like? What do you enjoy in life? What brings you joy? And she said, honestly, I can't think of one thing that brings me joy. I said, wow. I said, well, as a child, what did you do that you enjoyed doing? And she had a flashback to her ice skating, because for all those years in between, she had turned off that part of her memory. It was a painful memory that she couldn't be on the Olympic team, and she forgot completely about ice skating. So she decided, I'm going to ice skate again. And she joined a class that starts at 6 o'clock in the morning so she could go and skate before work. And every morning to this day, she skates with 6 to 12-year-old boys and girls, not as a teacher, just as a student out there playing and having fun and enjoying skating. And that is what's brought her, well, that's what she says, has brought her out of her depression. Because it's joy, it's play. There are 7 billion people on the planet, 7 billion definitions of happiness, and 7 billion definitions of play. For the purposes of today, I'd like you to consider that play is engaging in an activity that you enjoy. An activity that you enjoy. Perhaps an activity that you enjoyed as a child. As we heard yesterday at the opening ceremonies, what were your childhood dreams? Do you still have those dreams? Do you still play? Because it turns out when we play, we relax. And not only can we learn through experiences, but we can learn more because we're relaxed. We can expand our comfort zone, our risks, the things that, as new Toastmasters, we kind of stand up often and say, I don't really like to talk in front of people, because it's a risk. We feel exposed. One of the reasons I started speaking about play in my Toastmasters club is seeing other people arrive and so nervous they could hardly stand up. We have a gentleman at the moment who has been coming for over a year now, has not given his icebreaker speech, but he has been involved in some leadership things. The reason is because he had a bad experience and is afraid to fail again. When we play, when we're in a relaxed atmosphere, risk becomes acceptable. Failure isn't, oh, I failed. It's not serious. You ever watch kids and they're messing around with stuff and they're playing with things in a little group, and one will do, say for example on a bicycle, one might do a little bunny hop, and his friend will say, whoa, I want to see if I can do that. And they might fall off the bike. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they've failed. Usually when they're in a group, they get excited and they're like, oh, let's do that again. Failure becomes that little pause between oops and woo! It's excellent fun. Albert Einstein is an example of somebody who loved to play. He was known for his sense of humor. One of his childhood dreams was to be old enough that nobody could tell him that he had to wear socks. And that's exactly what he did. As soon as he was old enough, he said, well, nobody can tell me now, off with the socks. He was known for not wearing socks with his shoes, which is actually what I'm doing today. Not because of Albert Einstein, just because I forgot my socks. But that happens sometimes when you travel. He also said that play to him was the best form of research. Because when he engaged with his work, he enjoyed it. And as you recall, I asked you to consider the definition of play being enjoying what you do. Through play, creativity is allowed to run free. Innovation can take place. And some people would say that innovation is really what sets humans apart from the other animals on Earth. Our desire to make things better. We naturally flow through experiences. We learn through our experiences, tweak, trial and error. But play is what allows us to grow even more simply. For something a little bit different, I'd like to offer you guys a few activities that you can do today to kind of step outside your own comfort zone and hopefully be able to take home to you to your own clubs, possibly even your work atmosphere, depending on your family, maybe your family stuff. These are activities designed to help you live a little bit differently than you normally do. One of the things in my industry that we use as a guideline is called challenge by choice. And when we have a choice in what we do, we actually engage more. So when I say challenge by choice, what that means to you is I'll offer an activity to do, and if at any point you decide, I don't really feel comfortable doing that, that's totally okay, and you don't have to do it. But what I do ask is you consider your comfort zone, and you consider that where we grow most is just outside that comfort zone. So when you start to feel a little bit hesitant, whether it's today or in the conference or back at home, take a little step outside your comfort zone just to see what it's like, and then retreat. Because every time you do that, you expand your comfort zone and you grow a little bit more. If you are ready, would you be so kind to join me on your feet, please? And let me grab my phone to check the time. Oh, thank you. Alright. Can everybody see me? More or less? Alright. So, because we're Toastmasters and we like to talk a lot, most of these activities actually won't involve talking, because that's an added challenge for Toastmasters. Additionally, we're used to listening by sitting on our backsides, and standing up changes the way the whole world feels, doesn't it? A little bit odd to be standing up listening to somebody talk. Feels a little bit strange. That's good, because it's outside the comfort zone. We're going to start off nice and easy. You're just going to take your right foot and kind of move it back and forth a little bit. Very simple, right? Very good. And then we're going to do the left foot. All right. I considered maybe doing some Greek dancing, but I'm not such a great Greek dancer. So imagine in your head that maybe we're doing something like that. And we're going to go for the hands. Right hand, just tap the top of your head. Tap, tap, tap. And with your left hand, see if you can't rub your belly. Oh, actually a lot of people can do that. That's awesome. Many people have difficulty doing this. Now the real hard part, swap it up and see if you can do it with the opposite side. Did anybody end up patting your belly and rubbing your head? Yeah, exactly. It's funny, isn't it? So now I'm starting to see some smiles, which is what this is all about, because being silly also breaks that autopilot of life that we live on. So the next part, hold on, let me get my phone ready for this one. The next part is to warm up your face. Alright? The face. So, I put my glasses up so you can properly see my face. And this is how I'm going to warm up my face for all of you. Okay? So, to warm up your face, think of some ridiculously silly face, and I will not fall off the back of the stage. And I'm going to take a picture of everybody making stupid faces. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah! Fantastic! Alright! Now the next bit. The part that we're missing, we've got our feet, we've got our hands, we've got our face. We're missing our middle bit. So this is where our imagination comes in. Does anybody not know what a hula hoop is? Okay? So, if you look down at your feet, imagine that there is an entire pile of hula hoops there. You get to pick any magical hula hoop you want. The best part about an imaginary hula hoop is it doesn't fall down. I'm a horrible hula hooper. So, I have marching, unless that's what you want to do. I'm not particularly graceful, so that's not really my cup of tea. We're going to be Screech statues. We're going to pick a pose, and it can be a serious pose if you like, or completely ridiculous, which is one of the things that I really like. We're going to hold the pose, and then look around the room for our next pose. Okay? So when we're holding it, look around, see if somebody else is doing something interesting or silly, and then when I count to fun, because that's my favorite fun magic word, when I count to fun, you'll change to mimic their pose. Alright? So ready for your first pose? Everyone ready to be Greek statues? Starting now. And look around the room for someone doing something silly or fun. And ready to change on the count of fun. 3, 2, fun. Alright, one more time. Look around the room for somebody doing something silly or fun. 3, 2, fun. Outstanding. Thank you, everybody. That was lovely. Alright. Let's see, what do we have? The next one's a little game. Your left hand. Hold it out so it's nice and flat. This is a game of espionage. Your palm represents your country. Your finger, pointed up to the sky, it represents your spy. Now take your hand, move it a little bit to your left. Hopefully you have a neighbor. Not everybody does. Sorry about that. Oftentimes I do this in a big circle, but it was a little bit awkward to try and get everybody into a circle here. You're going to take your spy and gently place it on the country of your neighbor. Okay? Now the object of the game, your country is trying to capture your neighbor's spy. And, no cheating, wait for it. Your spy, of course, is trying to not be captured. Alright? So, when I count to fun, everybody ready? When I count to fun, you have to do both things at the same time. 3, 2, fun. Alright. Did anybody succeed in both catching and being free? Well done, Master of Espionage. That's fantastic. You guys want to try best 2 out of 3? One more time, do it again. See how we go? Because practice makes perfect, of course. Ready? 3, 2, fun. And did anybody succeed twice in a row? Did you? Well done. All right. We have one definite master. Excellent. All right. Let's see here. I love seeing so many smiles. Thanks for waking up bright and early on a Saturday after a giant social party last night, if any of you guys went. And being here with so many fantastic other like-minded individuals. Toastmasters is fun. For this next exercise and last exercise, I'm going to ask you to take your seats again, please. As I mentioned before, in Toastmasters, we often rely on words. So this one, actually, it's probably best if we fill in rows. Do you think it's possible for everybody in the back to come forward and fill in some of these gaps up here? Excellent. And while we're doing that, I will change one thing on this to that. Alright. Perfect. So again, being in rows is really important because this one, kind of like that last game, involves a community of people, a team of people. So the rows, everybody squished together. Listen to the instructions first, because otherwise you'll end up holding hands and feeling a bit awkward. And that's never really fun to feel awkward. So, the instructions are... Exactly, that stretch zone. Holding some complete stranger's hand. Definitely a stretch zone. Your exercise, your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is a challenge in communication. Many places, like schools, will have something that we call a phone tree. You know, something takes place, and a parent usually is contacted, and that parent is responsible for contacting other parents, who contact other parents, and contact other parents. And of course, if somebody doesn't make a phone call, there's a whole segment of the phone tree that doesn't get the communication. And whether we're in Toastmasters or living our daily lives, communication, of course, is pretty much the key to everything. This is an exercise in that chain of communication. It is done completely without words. It is also done, except for a couple of people, without sight. Also a bit awkward, isn't it? So, it will be done with a sense of touch. And what we'll do is have the people on the outsides, they'll have their eyes open watching me. Everyone else will have their eyes closed and hands will gently be holding together. Yeah, you can go ahead and do it now if you want. Yeah. I was going to say wait till later, but that's all right. So, your left hand open, your right hand, gently place it on top of the hand of your neighbor, almost like you're holding hands, palm to palm. The reason is because the way that we transfer the signal is by gently squeezing our neighbor's hand. So take a chance and gently squeeze just for practice. You don't want it to be too soft, because if you squeeze too soft, we'll have no communication, right? Yeah. And you also don't want it to squeeze too hard, because you don't want to cripple Hercules. We're just, passing a communication. We're not trying to tell somebody what we're saying. Alright, so, how are we doing here? Good. Alright. I'm trying to see which side we're going to start on. I think we'll start on this side and work our way that way. So, again, there will be no speaking. Everybody except for the last person in this row will have your eyes shut. And when I give a signal to the people on this side, they will gently squeeze their neighbor's hand. When you feel your hand be squeezed, pass it along by squeezing your other hand. Any questions?
We had our hands in the wrong direction.
Aha! That's all right. Sorted now? Good. Anybody not ready?
Is it the hand above that?
Whichever hand you're squeezed on, squeeze your other hand and just pass the message. Yeah. Okay. So, everybody who's not in this line, eyes closed, and when you get to the end down there, raise your hand to let me know that you got the message. Okay? Alright, so eyes closed. No cheating. No cheating. Everybody here on my signal?
Yeah!
Alright, keep your hand raised when it gets to you. Alright, eyes open please. Anybody on this end who did not receive a squeeze, raise your hand. Oh, everybody did. Excellent. I can't see where the hands are connected, so as long as everybody got a squeeze. Anybody not have their hand squeezed? Excellent. No little independent islands of communication, just somebody going around in circles. That's always a good thing for communication. And one of the things that I find happens with people who are not accustomed to communicating is that you can see quickly where there's a broken link in communication. Oh yeah, did I not say that? Sorry guys, definitely open your eyes. My apologies. And for this next segment, you will keep your eyes closed and I will continue to talk. My apologies. Oh yeah, so working with people who are not used to communicating, quite often that message gets missed somewhere. And this is an activity that works really well to demonstrate how communication works. A lot of times people think communication is all about them or all about the other people. And the truth is, we work in a team. We get information, we pass information on. Whether we use words or squeezing like a telephone signal, like a pulse, the communication has to go in a flow. Which leads us back to how we learn through experiences. When we learn through experiences, we experience a sense of flow because it is a natural part of our being. And when we play and relax and have fun, we actually learn things without even realizing we're learning them. So take a moment, please, and consider the things that you have heard while you were here today and experienced while you were here today. Think about what lesson you would most like to take home with you. That may be a lesson to apply in your daily life, at home, at work, possibly something you can take back to your Toastmasters group. Just take a moment to consider, what lesson can you take home? The last thing that I'd like to show you, which is all the way over here. Sorry about that, no clicker. I promised that I would introduce you all to the phases of experiential learning. This was a theory that was proposed in the 60s by a man named David Kolb. Now, of course, humans have been learning through experience for centuries, but the theory was proposed in the 60s. It is written in much more academic jargon, and I don't do very well with academic jargon, as I mentioned before, so I put it in simple words. You do something, you gain an experience. Oh, also, for those of you taking pictures, at the end, I'll give you a website you can go to fill out a form, and I will send you these slides over the next week, just so you're aware of what's coming up. You gain an experience by doing something. You reflect or you observe that experience. What took place? Right? Then you think about it. What insight can you gain from that? What can you take home? What can you change? And the last phase is to plan. I'm going to tweak this. I'm going to change that. I'm going to try that. And you try things again. We repeat this cycle of experiences, change, and growth. And that's how we continue throughout our entire lives, going with the flow of learning. We have fun. We have silly humor. We play. That makes this experience enjoyable and easy to engage with. And it makes us happy. Because who doesn't want to be happier? If you can learn stuff by having fun, would you pick that? Or would you choose to learn stuff by, taking a block of stone like they did 2,000 years ago and chiseling stuff in it? Fantastic way to learn at the time, but now we're able to learn other ways. It's fantastic. And learning also through play helps us, in a daily manner, get through the autopilot, break free of those habits that we've developed. I'd like to leave you with 3 simple tips for how to incorporate more fun and play in your daily lives. When you wake up in the morning, if you're a morning person, if you're a night person, it might be a problem, but find a ritual throughout your day that you can do to help you start off with a light heart, to laugh, to smile. Get up and move your body. It turns out when kids fidget, they're not just fidgeting because they can't control themselves. They're fidgeting because they like to have fun. They like that energy. It gets your energy going, and it gets your brain going. Turns out a lot of companies have caught on to that as well, and they're incorporating play spaces and places for people to be active to help boost their innovation, because that actually helps us make the world a better place. And there's new science that backs that up. Playing and being creative boosts our innovation, which makes the world a better place today and for our children. And last of all, spend some time with silliness. Because right now it might be outside of your comfort zone, but when you get used to it, it becomes part of your comfort zone, and you enjoy doing those things. Last but not least, I promised a supplemental information thing. If you have one of your code scanners, you can use that. I'll leave that up there. And if you don't have a code scanner, there's a URL at the bottom. I used an online form thingy. I spend most of my time outdoors, so I'm not a very technology person. I promise you there's no newsletter or email marketing stuff attached to it. It's just for my purposes. And that's pretty much all it is. This is for the slides from today and supplemental information for tips for you at home, as well as ways that you can introduce some of these activities and theories to your Toastmasters clubs. So if you're interested in more information, click on that, and over the next week or so I'll send off bits and pieces to you. And if you have any questions, my email is smile@lifeinbold.com, and feel free to email me anytime. Just remind me that you met me here, so I know that it's somebody who's actually like met me and not some weird crazy email spammy stuff. You have won $10 million. Don't tell me that. Any questions?
But no, but you get into crazy emails as well. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love crazy emails because, you know, yeah. And here I am. I'm your best friend from some random country. You have won the lottery. Yes? Which video? Oh, the video that they're doing here? I am not sure. I hope so. Yeah. Any other questions?
They will need to consent to it.
Excellent. He says they will if I consent, and I believe I've already consented. So, let's hope so. Sorry about the glasses on my head. Yep.
Can you give an example of any game thing you've done in your Toastmasters club?
I've actually just recently changed clubs, and the club that I'm at is very serious. So I have very slowly started introducing myself and stirring the pot, which actually a couple who, yesterday somebody talked about his mentors being a husband and wife team, and mine is the same. They are 85 years old and absolutely fantastic. And she said to me the other day, she said, Casey, she said, you bring a sense of joy and lightheartedness. She said, and it's fantastic because as Toastmasters and old people, we get set in our ways, and it's nice to have a bit of fun and lightheartedness at the meetings. So.
And didn't we do that today?
Mm-hmm. Thanks, guys. Welcome, Thank you. You are lovely. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. If you have any other questions, you can find me outside.